ladies and gentlemen. My job today is not to talk, but to introduce. So I'm going to say a few words about these two amazing people. Catherine Anspon is the executive editor for visual arts and features at PaperCity magazine. For the past 30 years, through insightful writing, Catherine has shaped how Texans look at contemporary art and how we build our art collections. McKay Otto, in his own words, not mine. My work sets the stage for asking, do we ever reach the unreachable ever? In consideration of the dimensional relationships that exist between drawing, painting, and sculpture, the work is obsessed with the expression of color, circle, light, line, and the way we perceive these images. The semi-transparent surface provides the opportunity to go within and transform traditional art ways. The process of creating work that blur the distinction between the material and the immaterial. The lines appear to hover in space as they cast colors, dematerializing themselves in the reflections. Despite what your eyes are telling you, the notion of being able to see beyond the surface changed the preconceived ideas of pictorial space and lends itself to meditation. Reflected and captured light passing through the surface leads the viewer to see beyond into the object's own ethereal timelessness. In my own words, this exhibition, Ever Legacies Ever, was conceived in McKay's home in Wimberley, Texas, over 2 years ago. At the time, we were in the early stages of construction of this magnificent space that is now one of the most celebrated temples for art in the state of Texas. McKay visited the HEB Gallery while it was still under construction several times, and then after when the space was retrofitted to what it is today. He took many videos and photos of the empty space. I remember he was amazed by the height of the walls and the room's expansive volume. It was these visits that informed the exhibition that you are here to see today. McKay is one of the most collected artists of his generation, yet his star is still ascending. I am honored to count McKay amongst one of my best friends. Besides the love of art, we have many things in common, amongst them contagious excitement, not knowing when to slow down or stop. Is that right? Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to McKay Otto and Catherine Anspon.
To be here, and Rockport is such a mecca, and what we and the community have done here, and everyone is part of the team at Rockport Arts Center, and then looking around, all wonderful friends from Houston, artists, Scouris, Mary Margaret, Janet, Heidi, Susan, Rick. I mean, this is the family. Margot, famous Texas artist. I have a new friend, Kimmy, and then of course the fabulous Casey, also known as Dr. Keith Coffey, here in the audience. So I think this is what the art world's supposed to be about. It's not supposed to be about a Christie's or a Sotheby's auction sale or the $1 billion people shopping in Miami. This is what it's supposed to be about. And looking around, this makes me feel like the Rothko Chapel, elevated, like that. So I know you're here to converse with McKay, so I want everyone to know McKay will have a dialogue, and then we want everyone that's here, my friend Lucy, my neighbor, we want everyone to ask McKay questions, because it's really, as we've talked, it's not so much the artist's process, it's the artist's intent. And it's so interesting looking around, because we spoke, and this is recent work, but it has many threads, and we're going to start with the work right in this facing wall with the boxes. These are reminiscents of when I first was reading about you, when you were written up in Chronicle, many magazines. This is such a great artist who's working with almost a surrealist, the paradigm with the found objects, and also relating to your
your time after your real estate career when you were working with objects as an antique dealer, but really the objects you had were more talismanic. So can you talk a little bit about these boxes and what they represent for you?
Catherine, I think I said it last night, I don't know, the library, but they came out of COVID. And 2 hip replacements. I became pretty immobilized for a period of time, and I couldn't do big pieces. And I started back thinking smaller. And I had a 5-piece Madeline O'Connor, and Madeline is right behind me today. That's Madeline O'Connor's, one of my favorite Texas artists that's lived here and did an amazing job with her art. 5 black little boxes that I looked at every day. And so it was time, virtually time to start revisiting the black box. And Madeline O'Connor was a real good friend of Donald Judd. In fact, he was going to do a building for her out in Martha, and he passed away before he did it. So being inspired by Marilyn's black boxes, and I have several collectors that have these amazing Louise Nevelson sculptures, black sculptures in their collection. Looked at how do you go beyond Madeline O'Connor? How do you go beyond Louise Nevelson? Inspired, but no copy. These are not Louise Nevelson's. They're not Madeline O'Connor's or McKay's. And I had the great fortune of the signature translucent, transparent canvas. You can't go out and buy it. It's something that evolved over 20 some odd years. And so I started thinking, well, Agnes Martin always told me, she said, McKay, you are doing light boxes. So everything in here you're looking at is virtually a light box. Without, she would say, and these are her words, she said, without a gimmick, there's no electric car. You know, they shine at night. They're actually shining right now. The material changes the color. And so I started incorporating the light boxes into these black sculptures. And there are assemblages. I started with little boxes, and they wanted to be together. And I had no control over it. They literally put themselves together. And I enjoyed doing these. If you're not enjoying it, you shouldn't be doing it. And I don't know what I'm doing. That's another thing I always think. If I think I know what I'm doing, I need to stop making art. So you're looking at light boxes, Catherine.
I think they're so beautiful, and as you said, it's different from Nevelson because there's light and then there's something in there and we don't really have to know what it is. I think today we live in a world where mystery becomes so special because so much is known in advance, and I think social media can be so wonderful, but you know, sometimes before a show opens, everyone's seeing behind the scenes, and I think it's for those assembled today to look at the boxes and kind of see what might be there for themselves. And also, I think what unites this work is, you know, we've often talked about your work as you know, as today is such a cosmic day. This is no accident that your show is opening at this time. That, you know, these are portals. The work is talismanic, but it's also about, you know, in the book you're in the cool, clear future, because these are like spaceships that become portals. So I guess, can you talk a little bit about, we have this veiling in the vapor, but also there's a new use of color here. What have you been thinking about with color? What's your inspiration?
COVID again. And I wanted to come out of that whole period feeling good. And if I can feel good making work, well then you become what you surround yourself with. And so it's very important. If I am feeling good, well then I'm going to do work that's going to feel good for others. And I think that's really important. The color came in parallel to having cataracts. And I have 2 new lenses, and I'm seeing color, I have to say, differently than I ever have seen in my life. For the first, I had stigmatism that was so bad I had to have glasses. Now I can take these glasses off and see everything. A big difference. And I think it has opened me up to this point. What do I want to contribute for the rest of my life? And I want to contribute something that really feels good. Opens up portals, asks questions of who we are. When you cut the lights out, this particular painting has the word no. And my journey into doing what I'm doing today started 25, 30 years ago with my best friend, and he was working with Shirley McLean, and we started writing books, and I called him one day, and we were talking, and he said, when you know, you know. Most of the world goes through their entire life believing in things. And I said, what? He said, when you believe, there's that question you doubt. So get into the knowing. Stay in that knowing. All of us should stay in the knowing instead of the believing. And so I practice that.
I think this is so wonderful, and I often think of you saying believe versus know.
Yeah. It's been in me for a long time.
And also, where people say they don't know what you're doing, but isn't that why we do things? Because we're looking for, there is a seeking here, which is quite wonderful. And then your text work is you've done text before, but this seems more emphatic, but it's also where the viewer, you know, it's a combination of night and day, a dichotomy, and then there are embedded messages. Are you thinking about, do you want the viewer to discover these? Or are you thinking maybe we all have these messages inside us. You know, it's so interesting. You've always been so tuned into energy. What are you thinking about with this? And then this one, Trini said we needed to ask about the edge, the edge one.
The edge. The words in the one up top that come out at night in the dark. Edge of what? Edge of what? What are we on the edge of? And this whole show is about being on the edge with these legendary, amazing spirits. How do you bring a spirit back from away?
And I think these are so they're beautiful and moving and powerful. And it's also, strangely enough, this is a weekend where, you know, personally we have a number of us are going to the memorial for Wayne Gilbert, where it's a celebration of his life. That's tomorrow, and my husband couldn't come because his father-in-law, former father-in-law, Wallace Dillard, passed away. He was another kind of Houston maverick in the construction industry, and someone who built kind of this wonderful family-owned business. So you're thinking about passing over, but you know, I know personally, this is how I know that everyone is kind of right up here. So how are you feeling about this work? I mean, and can you take us all through who everyone is, because there are people here that I wasn't familiar with. You know, maybe start from this side of the room over, because they're art people, and we'd like to know a little bit about the art people, because I know some of us will know certain people very well, and others I don't personally know who everyone is. So yeah.
So I like circles.
Yes.
If you look to the back over here, there's nothing to everything. Betty Mobley is on the very end. Betty was married to the district attorney in Corpus Christi, and she started painting after his death and had shows in New York. And I knew Betty. I used to stay at her unique house in Corpus Christi when I would come down. She was the most difficult of these, because these spirits, they're here. How do you go beyond a photograph? And my daughter died. It was in a car accident when she was 29 years old. And for many years, I'm gonna say 4 or 5 years, I kept hearing her. She kept saying, "Daddy, you don't have any of my photographs out." And that's something we don't do. We don't set photographs or hang them all around. Why? When I heard from her, she kept saying, "Why don't you put me in one of your art pieces? And it'll be an art piece for maybe ever." And I've got this big thing, ever, which stands for forever. I just shorten the word forever to ever. And every one of these now are forever. Every one of these, because they're coming from afar through a portal. And I truly think they're gonna end up where they're supposed to. Betty was the most difficult. I had to redo her 4 times, because she had this unique beauty mark on her chin. First time I heard her say, "I don't see my beauty mark." So they really talked to me. I had a death experience in 1986, and I left my body, and it's quite unique. I went into light, And I don't know, because everyone that's right here in this room, we really don't know what the other side is, where we came from, where we're going. But I like to question it. And I was in here yesterday meditating for an hour, and these spirits are right here, and these are portals. They're coming through them. I feel them. I hear them talking. And Betty, she wanted to look like she really was in my process. Through this process, it was very difficult to get Betty to Betty. But anyway, I think that's Louis's favorite spirit up there, the way she comes through. Louis was very, very close to a lot of these people. The second one there is Ann Herethus. Ann O'Connor Herethus. She is responsible for the 5 Point Museum in Victoria, a co-founder of the Art Car Parade in Houston. She is responsible for the Art Car Museum in Houston, and she is responsible for the Station Museum. All these will continue for years. Up top is Jeannie Wyatt. Jeannie lived in San Antonio, had a place here, and a lot of what you're seeing here is from her generosity. She set up a $50 million foundation that will help a lot of people through the years. Below her was one of her really good friends, Bobby Hewitt, a rancher, a very generous person to South Texas. Lived in Victoria, that had a house, a compound, a virtual white compound down here. And they were really good friends. I didn't know it when we hung the show. They ended up being right there. And I love it that he let her be a pie. A legend to Rockport is Estelle Starr. She had the great gallery here. Another generous, beautiful soul. Everybody loved this. When you talk about Estelle, I didn't have the great privilege of knowing her. And she apparently loved glasses because she wanted those glasses in her. But I mean, she's really beloved. And she will live now through my artwork, and I love the fact that I've been able to do that. Let's see, behind me here is Madeline O'Connor on the lower place. Madeline, I think I said a little about her, but one of my favorite artists and of Texas, and I loved everything I've ever seen about her artwork. Above her is the legendary Francis Fahrenthal. That's Francis. Sissy. Right? Sissy. And so I've been able to do Sissy and be able to put her in this. She's coming through in an art piece that can live on. They all will live on, but this is my contribution to humanity. Let's see, who else do I have here? Up above, the beloved, Jesus Morales, and you see his granite stuff everywhere. Texas. One of my, he was a really good friend of mine, and Keith's, and I just had to do Jesus. And below is Missy Thomas. She had a real estate company here, but she also was a rancher from Cuero, Texas. And again, a lot of this art center is here because of her generosity. So they gave a lot, and I'm able to give them something back. And I just hope they go to where they're supposed to go. I really feel, I know that they will. That's important. But I hope I've answered.
These are absolutely, they're so wonderful, and they speak of a tradition. I know actually, is Nancy's, I've met Nancy through you, but she always said about Houston, which I think you can certainly apply to your figures here and extend it. It's always been a real maverick city, and these people that you have honoring, they're mavericks, they're doers, people that had an idea, they're bold, and they're just, it's interesting. They're about people's energy, and they would, people I'd like to be in a room with. So now we're in a room. I'm wondering, let's have some questions for McKay, because I think seeing all this work together and your new series, which is unique, because this is, the first time that I recall we've had photography, and I know you mentioned George Krause, an extraordinary photographer, but how this is kind of a new take on photography, because they almost become, not exactly a reliquary, but something like an icon in a way. And then you're having the abstract work, these surreal portals, these luminous colors of light, and then also the circles, which are so beautiful and pure. So I think to be able to have all this work together in the room, and also where it's all recent work, is unique, because a lot of times with an artist, you have the word retrospective, and this is a survey of now, which I think is wonderful, that has been created here. So let's get some questions from the audience about maybe, and then we have the bowls here, which are beautiful. So I think there's the soundtrack with the bowls. So who has a question for Susan?
Yes, would you talk a little bit about your process with these portraits?
Well, I just took what I do, and it's working with this. It's actually a signature of mine. These translucent, transparent canvases, you can't go out and buy them. I had the opportunity to patent it, but we decided not to patent the process because I do hold the world's supply of two of the elements that are essential in making it. So, my mentor, I couldn't be doing this work had it not been for Agnes Martin. My time with Agnes Martin is the most pivotal point of my life, I think. And she kept telling me, she said, "McKay, I'm stuck on the two-dimensional plane." And I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "Well, when you're painting on a two-dimensional plane, you're getting a direct reflection of the color, okay? And just think about it, it's a direct reflection of color." She said, "This is the same thing that Rothko was stuck on." all of his work is still on a two-dimensional color. I have been trying, she would say, I've been trying to paint the ethereal. What is ethereal? The closest thing we have in our vocabulary for that would be a sunset, a sunrise, a rainbow. What are they? They're reflected color. It's all nothing but a reflection. It's the closest thing you can get to the ethereal because there's no material object. It's just space. How do you paint that? Well, you can't paint it. So these are white paintings, and what the color is being reflected onto a white surface. And when that happens, it's the same thing that happens in the atmosphere with a rainbow. Or it took me years to figure this out because she told me, she said, McKay, you can sculpt and you can paint, and it's hard to do both. She couldn't sculpt. And I would ask her, then what do you mean? And she never, her lips were closed. She said, just go out and do it. And that painting right there is another hallmark of my process, my life process. So if not you, who? Marianne Williamson gave me a tape. She had been lecturing, talking to some high school students, seniors, in the tape. And she said, who are going to be the great doctors of your generation? And nobody raised their hands. Who are going to be the great writers of your generation? Nobody raised their hands. She went on through and through, and she couldn't get any of these kids to raise their hands. And she looked at them, and she said, if not you, who? And that's something every one of us should think about every day. If not you, who? It inspires you to do great things, not mediocre, but great things. To be as good as you possibly can be. Just like this center that's come together, Louis didn't stop. He knew he had to do it, and it's, if not you, who? I know he had to have thought that and lived it. So, I spent endless times, and there's never a mistake. I had so many, you have no idea how many paintings I have had to throw away. Getting to this, which is the painting of ethereal color, because I'm not doing it, the universe is doing it. It is actually reflecting the color for me. And that is painting the ethereal. And it may be the first time it's really actually been done this way. I'm a young word. Oh, words. We were going to talk about words, which leads me to dream. The top word in that piece there is dream. So one day, Agnes Martin and I were driving back from lunch, and she said, let's stop at the art supply store, Artisans in Taos, New Mexico. And she said, go in and pick one paint. And let it be something you can paint with the rest of your life. I thought she was going to come into the art supply with me, but she didn't. She had her knees hurt her so bad, and at that time you couldn't get these marvelous knee implants that we get today. I walked out. You know what I walked out with?
A shade? Let's see here. I'm thinking it's something in the room.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna guess something like I'm just guessing orange or purple or something like that. I don't know. Or could be green. Hedging the bets.
I walked out with this funny paint, and she said, what is that? I said, it's Krypton. I always wanted to be Superman. And green glow paint. And I would take her little study. She was mentored by George O'Keeffe. And the deal is you take two little studies and she would critique them. She did that with me. And I'd take her these little paintings and she'd say, don't throw them in the trash, burn them. You don't want these out because, again, I was painting on a flat surface. And it was a direct reflection of the paint. And so I put the glow paint away, the phosphorescent green paint. And I lived in a shack in Galveston,
But
Texas.
a beautiful shack that was in the Holly Moore's PaperCity book.
Yeah.
And so
They loved my shack. Keith and I had a shack in Galveston. And I had a dream. And I have these dreams. And Theodore always, my favorite Theodore quote is, to live your dream awake. Just live your dreams awake. And so I had this, and Agnes came to me in the dream, and she said, where's that funny glow paint that didn't work? Failed. And I had a little bit left. And I started painting that night. Now I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. I'll look for her in the room. She wasn't there, but I found the paint. And it was about 2 or 3 weeks later, I called her and I told her what had happened. She said, McKay, I had the same dream. What night was it? And we had, because she talked a lot about telepathic communication to me. She said, someday, everybody's going to communicate without having to talk about it. So that's where, and when she saw the first painting I'd done, that's when she told me, that's the first light box, McKay, without an electric cord. And I'll remember it the rest of my life, and I've been doing them ever since. Every painting is a light box. So, Keith and I we were invited by Kelly O'Connor to come to the pre-opening of Ruby City, which was done by Linda Pace. And Linda Pace was part of a group of these people would get together every week and talk about their dreams. So Keith and I were staying in a much too expensive hotel, the Yuma. And at 3 o'clock that night, I woke up again because this lady came to me. And this is significant. At the opening was Linda Pace's last work. And Kelly O'Connor told me she was so sick that she had to do most of it for her. It was some silk flowers, blue, yellow, white, and it was a word. And guess what the word was? Stay. Stay. And I was with a dear friend, Betty Boston, and she and I could not move. It spellbound both of us. So I have this dream, and this little lady comes in to the dream and she says, "It's time to do words again, McKay. Because the last word painting I did, people don't realize it, but a lot of those early paintings are lines of words that just dissolve themselves. Because I keep questioning, what happens to a word once you said it? Keith gave me the 4 agreements. And one of the most important agreement is to be impeccable with your words. So Susan Hurd, who has Cinnabar Gallery in San Antonio, about 2 weeks after I had that dream with the little lady coming telling me it's time to do words, she had a photo that she was trying to sell. And guess who the photo was? Linda Pace.
Oh, wow.
I never had the great privilege of meeting her, but the little lady in the dream was Linda Pace.
Oh, wow.
And she came to me that night and told me it was time to do words. And I listened to dreams. I think we all should. They're just like this. If you get quiet enough, they speak to us. They tell us just it's amazing what will come out of portals. And I'm ready for another dream. How many people, how many of y'all listen to your dreams and follow up on them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Any more? 12, 13. See? I'm not the only one.
I'm going to interject. I think your show makes us think of our last dream that everyone shared was the dream to go to the moon. We need another dream humans, so, we need to dream, and we need to get to the point where we're creating future and doing things that are exciting and inspiring. And that doesn't have to be a political idea, it can be an idea. Science and art, this feels like light, art, science. The oceans, the eclipse today, and the energy in Rockport, it feels like it's happening right here. And we're gathered in this circle as we're co-creating.
There's only one of us here. I'm a Dallas. We're all one. We're as equal. Everyone on the planet should be treated equally. I see when I meet someone, when I talk to any of my friends, you're all you're all at the same level for me. I love you. You know, that's all there should be is love. We have a choice in our lives. We can live in fear and judgment and all of that ugly stuff, or we can live in love. And all of these paintings are about living in love. You become what you surround yourself. In friends, in the surroundings in your home, in the art you collect. It's all what we surround ourselves with. And
It's interesting, they've just been doing studies about these supercentenarians, and they said, well, what is the reason? It's around being around people that are positive, and people need their people because we're all one, but being around positive people and elevate. And we spoke about the opposite of love is fear. Well, we need to be in the love. That's not a difficult choice. It seems like, do we want to feel good and do things and create? It's like the yellow brick road. Hey, you go on the yellow brick road, so that's where we want to go.
one of my best friends for many, many years, Catherine Anspon. We go way back. How many years?
We go back to believe it or not, it used to be a decade, then it was 2 decades, but we met in the mid-90s, but this is all the work that you've been doing, so it's not a while ago, it was just yesterday. And everything, time collapses, and here we are, and there's this synchronicity of the universe, and everyone is here, but we're all one. We're one that's here.
Yeah. One of the most positive, loving spirits I've enjoyed in my life. I have another in my beautiful husband, Keith. So I am the richest man on the planet. When you have friends, and sitting in the back here is one of my dearest friends too. You're all friends, but Janet Caldwell, and I've known each other so long, and she's very dear to me. You all are. I have a new friend in Barbara Riley and her husband. That's what it's about. This show, I'm here because of Greg Reuter. I know it. He talked about my work and talked about it to positive energy. I'm here because of Louis. I could go around and God, Lucy, she's a new friend, but she was Nate's, your next door neighbor.
My neighbor. And it was like, and then we loved visiting with Larry about waltzing across Texas, and then Kimmy, who is, you just meet people and you're like, wow, that's a person that I.
You've known her forever, right?
While I have your attention, can I ask a question?
Huh?
About something you were telling me, you were saying wonderful things to me. We were talking about the words and the light and everything, but when we stayed up way too late the other night, you talked about something I hadn't heard you talk about before in your work, which was the lines. And what the lines meant.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like talking about the lines?
Brief. I hope I can make it brief. This painting says it all up here. Edge of what? The lines, that middle line, is the line between life and the other dimension that we go to. I don't want to call it death, because we don't die. I really think we vibrate in light. If you're a light, positive person, you're going to vibrate in white light forever, ever, ever, ever. And I can tell you with every one of these spirits that I had the privilege of working with, and they work with me. I have no doubt they're right here, vibrating in this white light. I really, really don't believe that. I know it.
Do you want to take down the lights and then bring them up?
Oh, that would be an experience. Anyone want that?
Yes, yes, please.
Close your eyes. Close your eyes. Open your eyes.
Let there be light.
I do have a question. So, I'm sitting across from these, and I can't help but see the chakra colors. And I know you've got the sound bowls, and there's one there. Can you talk about how that all relates to the work?
Well, it's interesting. There was a time in the process that I was dripping lines, and they ran everywhere, and I had little glass particles in them. I was working on 7 paintings for the Science Mill. It's a science museum for children of all ages in Johnson City. And I did a silo. The ceiling goes up 40 foot. And they wanted something that would be there from now on. And I can't do the Rothko Chapel. Rothko did that. And this is a round little 40 high by, I forget the dimension width. But I worked for well over a year on 7 paintings, hung at 7 foot, and every one of them related to each of the chakras. In hopes that we could open the eyes of youngsters of all ages to the power of color and sound, vibration, because that's all we are. And the easiest way to do that was with the Tibetan bowls, which are the sound of the universe, the true sound of the universe. So what we found, my assistant would clear my chakras with a Tibetan bowl, and we would put the medium in the Tibetan bowl and ring it. And we would clear the whole room with that sound, and he sat there for a long time just ringing the bowl. And when we did that, the lines ran perfectly. And I mean, it sounds crazy. It is crazy, but it's true. And I'm a witness to all of that. My husband, Keith, he experienced it all. And so the sound, these paintings are just vibrating. They're vibrating with white light because of they are white paintings. And so I think it's essential that we all get into it. And really, if what if we could all vibrate in light like that, instead of the darkness and the hate and the judgment? So I'm doing my part. Thank you.
I don't want this to be over, but it's not over, it continues. It's the word, it's a continue, it's big simple. I want you, can you ring the bell for us? It's the...
Can I clear your chakra?
Oh, yes.
Still vibrating.
Well, nobody wants this to be over, but I just want to acknowledge a few people in the room. Famous sculptor, artist, Margot Sawyer is in the house. Raise your hand for go in to see Margot. Also, photographer. Whoops. Did we run out of juice? Hello, can you hear me? Yeah? Okay. Something's going on with the mic. We also have photographer Phil Rogers, he's in the back of the room there. Sculptor and ceramic artist, Greg Ritter. Right over there. And we also have ceramicist Stan Urban, who lives here in Rockville, Texas. We're running out of juice. Fan gallerist Heidi Vaughn, right here, who interviewed McKay and I a couple of months ago. And of course, musician, songwriter, stellar person, Kimmy Rhodes. Right here. Estelle. Hello, Estelle stars, she's doing this. Estelle stars niece and local artist Lisa Frederick. Morales Art Company is represented here. Susana Morales, Kurt Kangas, and Susana is Jesus' sister. Boston artist, abstract artist, one of my favorite artists, Sean Camp. Raise your hand. We also have from San Antonio, the Here in the House Press, Gary Nichols is in the back of the house. Okay, Estelle, stop it. She won't stop. And then also Victoria and Rockport artist, Barbara Spartan. I'd like to thank all of my staff that are here working on Saturday and my board of directors that are present here. I've got Lucy Nye, I've got Larry Beavers, our president, and Jim DePerio, one of our favorite volunteers. These are the people that make the magic happen so that this can happen. Thank you very much.
Can I acknowledge two people here? Sure. Barbara Vaughn, amazing artist, who helped me print. This would have not be on the walls had it not been for her incredible talent and generosity to help me. And I thank you so much. And another one of my Texas favorite artists, one of the great ceramicists of our time, Susan Budge in the front. And we have Margaret Hanson right back here. We've got a great Roxy. She is the star of Wimberley. She's in every production. She came from producing stage production all over, and she's lit in Wimberley. Is there anyone else? Rick, another guy. Oh my God.
Singer, songwriter, rock star.
He's a rock star.
It's seven dice, is that the seven?
Seven stage.
Yeah.
This room is filled with creativity, supreme. And it's no wonder we're all here today on the Eclipse together. It's no accident.
And Rosemary and Ralph, who I love, the R&R couple.
So, thank you all for being here. And I can't thank my best friend here, Catherine, driving down special from Houston today to be with us.
The time went, as I said, I think it used to be 5 hours. I gained 2 hours. I got here 3 hours. The car wanted to be here, so we all wanted to be here. So.
And every day I thank my husband, Keith Coffey, for putting up with me. Louis, thank you. You're a genius at what you've done.